What's up, party people? It's Matt Johnson. We're back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we are off the chain today. We have no guest, but we do have tons of questions. Really good questions from the Facebook group that we are going to cover today. So we're going to cover a variety of things, everything from objections from sellers to working with builders and finding land that can potentially be developed and packaged and sold to them, and then building relationships with builders. How do you prospect for buyers? And a really interesting question about what it actually means to work hard as an agent. So we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. So first of all, the Junior Grandmaster himself is in the house where he so belongs, back in his box. Greg McDaniel, what's up today?
I love my box. I like good box. You know what? When you get to stay here and work in your office and not leave your house and look at the beautiful view down here, being shoeless and happy. That's the meaning to life, Matt, is to be shoeless, which I'm trying to teach you, but you're just not learning the lesson about being shoeless. You won't learn.
Shoeless does not equal happy to me.
Oh, hater McHate. Oh, man, dude. You know what? Things always happen to you in life for reasons, and you can learn from every one of the experiences. I had an experience last night, with one of my friends, and just, it got me thinking on my morning show about toxicity and how a large amount of people out there have very toxic people in their lives, and us as the overall society, we don't know what happens behind closed doors, and we can't figure out why people are so upset about things and how they interact and treat us. And so I did a whole show today about toxic people, the type of people you need to get out of your life and the other people you should bring into your life. And it's just very sad to have someone. My friend came over and she just broke down and just told me what was going on. It was devastating. So if you guys are out there and you know someone's hurting, reach out and be a friend to them. Matt and I do a lot of joking around on the show, but in all seriousness, everyone's fighting a battle none of us know about. So try to be a little bit more understanding today if someone cuts you off or says something mean or short with you, because they're probably fighting something that you have no clue. Just let them go with God, and you do you, and them do them, and everything else. But yeah, we were doing prep for the show, Matt, and we came up with a lot of cool questions, and I think we're going to be able to answer some really fun ones today. So let's rock it out, brother.
All right. Okay. So first of all, let's start off with a simple one. This is from Jonathan Morsenkoff. It says, what closing gifts do you give your sellers at closing, or do you even give gifts to sellers at closing? And I'm curious about that. So what do you think?
I give them hug coupons. That's what I give them. They get a Greg hug. No, what I really do give them is amazingclubs.com. I go to amazingclubs.com. They have beer, cheese, wine, cigars, ties, dog treats, all kinds of different clubs, right? They want a lobster club. And so I try to get to know them throughout the process. And then when the closing time comes, like recently I gave one a beer club for $300 or something. I was able to give one of my clients, who is kind of a difficult deal, but he's super pumped and wants to give us referrals. For $300, he gets 12 beers, custom, craft beers delivered. Now, the trick is, don't have it delivered to their house. What was it? 86% of people said that they would do business with their agent again, but only 11% do because of the lack of follow-up, the lack of, relationships being built. This is an opportunity for 3, 6, 12 months in the next year. You get to have that chance and have that call with them, be like, yo, Johnson face, it's McDaniel. Yeah, you know what up, homie? It's beer 30. When do you want me to bring the beer by? It's just a way to have another contact and touch point with these people, and it's something that they genuinely like. So, I love hot sauce. I love beer. I love cigars. My friend Nikki, who's watching right now, Nick, knuckles to you, Nick. Dude, she gave me Cohiba cigars. I don't know if I'm ever going to smoke these because I just like them sitting on my desk so much. But if there's an opportunity to bring these, to have these types of things being delivered once a month, it's just an opportunity. If she was my agent, Nikki would call me up and, hey, Greg, it's, what's up? It's Nikki. I'm like, what up, girl? And she's like, hey, I got the cigars. When do you want to meet up? It wouldn't be you trying to be a creepy salesperson anymore. It would they would associate you with something that you like. It could be anything. But that's something that I do. Very, very effective. And Nikki, when you do come to California, we will bust this open and we will smoke a cigar together. Side note, just throw that out.
Oh,
What about you,
interesting.
Matt?
Well, there's a lot of teams around the country that got big into Cutco and giving Cutco knives at closing. I know an agent here in San Diego that I did some work with a while back that is very, very heavy on gifts. He actually gives gifts throughout the lead conversion process, and then part of his gift to a seller client is when he helps them get into the new home, he throws them a full-blown housewarming party. And so that those are both really good options. So rather than focusing on a thing that you give them, put some money, form a relationship with a lender that can go halfway in on it, and do a like you've done you talked about the sorry to see you go party. If it's a seller that's like leaving the area and you're not helping them get into their new home, or you can do a housewarming party if you're working with them on the buy side and getting them into the new home. Both of those are really good options I would say in place of a closing gift, and then I think would actually put you in a better position to meet people that are your next round of clients, because then you can actually go around and door knock around that neighborhood and invite them to that party, rather than just giving them something that you hope will brand you, as if that was the main thing that prevented us the leads from flooding in.
Yeah, the client party appreciation party, dude. Like we're doing one for my clients Monica and Ryan. They live in the home that they're buying right now. They're tenants, and so it's going to be just an awesome party. We're going to throw for them. We're going to bring the burrito truck in, the taco truck guy in, and we're going to buy some beer. We're going to bring some waters and sodas. They're going to bring all their friends and family members. It's not like the friends and family members haven't ever been there. It's just like a celebration of like, dude, we have a house. Like we bought it. It's ours. Let's celebrate. We took that next step. And, dude, he's already telling me, he's like, oh, dude, I'm going to have all my friends in. This is going to be sick, bro. And I'm like, I can't wait to have them in. It's going to be an awesome time. It's very effective.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Very effective. And it's a very good time to lead gen, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it was Ray Wood, and this was kind of just an aside, but I think it's a really good point that he made. Hopefully I'm giving credit to the right person. I feel like it was Ray that said it. But he said that the just listed, just sold marketing is probably the most overlooked high quality source of leads for most agents, because we focus so much on just the deal and then getting on to the next client that we forget to leverage that. One of the best ways to get new clients is to leverage the clients that we already have. So making sure that we're doing those things, getting out into the neighborhood, talking about the homes that just listed, including our own, especially the ones that we're holding open houses on, and then the ones that we just sold, making sure that we get out into the neighborhood and we're telling people about it. And I think you might be right about that. I think a lot of agents overlook that opportunity, partially because they don't want to make the calls. They don't want to get out into the doors. But getting belly to belly with people like the Grandmaster talked about on his episode here last Monday is really the key to like building those relationships that eventually turn into the next round of clients.
Yeah, 100%. It's just staying top of mind, doing something different for the people that you're working with, making them feel appreciated, because the fact of the matter is that, these people have trusted you with a big decision, and you need to congratulate them. This is a big thing. I mean, a lot of us that buy and sell every single day, it's not a big thing to us because we do it every single freaking day. But to them, it's a huge thing. And just, stand out a little bit, that'd be my recommendation.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the open houses, this is a question from Connor Baird. It says, who is having success with buyers from open houses? I'm hosting them at my listings most every weekend, but the results are poor. I door knock the neighborhood. It's posted on all the consumer sites, and I usually do them Sunday from 1 to 3. Any suggestions are appreciated. So, Greg, what would you do? How would you look at that problem?
So he's having problems with converting the buyers when they come through the open houses. Is that what he's saying?
No, I think I get the impression it's he says the results are poor. Given the fact that he's talking about door knocking the neighborhood and posting it to all the consumer sites, I would draw from that he's not getting the traffic that he thinks he wants. So let's talk about the traffic problem first, conversion second.
So traffic really comes down to, some of the easy things are like how many signs are you putting out? Are you doing self-promotion? Are you door knocking the neighborhood ahead of time, like that Thursday or Friday or Saturday, and finding the neighbors to the open houses? Did you are you doing it social media, or are you just putting up like 2 signs, hoping and poking and spraying and hoping to God that something's going to land in your lap? You need to make an event out of this. You need to do more signs than needed. Like, I could have gotten away with 4 signs for my Sunday open house yesterday. I put 8 out, so I doubled my signage, and was just I put signs everywhere around this little neighborhood so people couldn't get lost. Like, even if you got lost, one of my signs would catch you and bring you back to the open house. But even yesterday, it's not about the quantity, it's the quality of people that you want to have come through. So like the first hour and a half of yesterday's open house, I was sitting there watching Netflix on my phone, man. It was like the Middle Earth of open houses. Nothing was going. And I went on with Eileen, and I'm like, I'm officially going on record that we should not be holding this open house today. And then all of a sudden, real estate, they're like grapes. They come in bunches, right? So then I would have, I had 2 people come in right away. Then it kind of went in twos for the rest of the day. But I would, get 30 minutes off. Then I'd have 2 to 4 people come through. But I was able to pick up, a really solid buyer on Sunday who they want to buy something. So it's not a bad thing. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality. So if you had 1 person come through your open house, yes, that is a problem. But if they turn into a buyer and that becomes another client, that is a very positive use of that time spent at that open house. But sheer traffic, man, I mean, you got to put some legwork into it. You can't just put a couple of signs up and then hope to God it's going to happen. I mean, make sure it's advertised in the newspaper. Make sure it's on all the major social media, on all like the Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, Zillow sites. Advertise that it's on an open house. Almost every single person except for 1 guy and his son that were investors around the corner that live in the neighborhoods all came from Realtor.com. And Redfin. No one came from Zillow or Trulia. It was really interesting to see that. But you got to go above and beyond and do a live video ahead of everything, and promote the open house. Do stuff like that. So I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I would agree with all those things, and that kind of brings us to the answer to one of Nikki's questions, which was she was really inspired by the Zillow Killer episode last week and asked us to share some ideas on what are the things that we can do videos on. She wants to add value to the community while marketing herself, and we can go in a little bit deeper into that. But open house is definitely one of those things because you want to do videos that are a combination of things that have nothing to do with real estate that are strictly of interest to the people that you want to reach. So let's say you take, let's say your pool of people that you want to serve is 5,000 people in a certain area of Omaha, Nebraska, right? Or a suburb of Omaha called Ralston. I want to dominate Ralston. Great. So there's, 20, 30,000 people in Ralston. So if you decide you want to dominate that suburb, guess what you do? You talk about everything that has to do with Ralston. Well, Ralston Days is coming up. Ralston Days just passed. What's the park like now? What are kids doing this summer? When do they go back to school? Interview the principal. What are the teachers doing in their off time? What are the things that are coming up for the new school year? I mean, there's the list of topics really is endless once you get a little bit clear about who you're trying to reach and dive into what they care about. So that's the community side of things. And then you look at the business side, which is just to share what you're doing. And if you're out there doing things like open houses, for example, especially if you're out there door knocking around your open house, then you do a live video while you're out door knocking, talking about you door knocking for your open house, right? And if you do it from your business page, then you can do fun stuff like boosting it to a mile radius of your that exact address, and or you can boost it to your custom audience of people who have visited your website, like we talked about with James on the show last week. There's lots of things you can do, but you start simple with, okay, what are the things that my community cares about? And then what am I learning and doing right now in my business? Those are the two kind of the way that I see it breaking down into what types of live videos that we could do.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Bad timing. Yeah, I mean, the amount of live topics there.
Hacking up a pigeon over there.
Right when you go.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's the worst time. I do those fake coughs and stuff when I do my calls, but not when I'm doing the podcast. Pat, didn't interrupt. You didn't see that one coming, did you, Johnson?
I did not see that one coming. Yes, that's right. Only on Real Estate Uncensored. See, all you guys that are on the receiving end of Greg's prospecting calls, you get the fake coughs. But you guys on Real Estate Uncensored, you get the real thing.
You get the real phlegm.
That's right.
But so when it comes to doing videos, I mean, go do things that you're excited about. One of the things that if I need to. I don't know if I need to on this property, but I could talk about the fact that this is a single entrance and exit little community. So for safety reasons, if anything happens in there, but doesn't really ever happen, I could talk about the idea that, if you call the cops will literally just wait at the front of the development. They can't get out anywhere else. Across the main street in front of the development is a big shopping center called Sun Valley Mall. So you can literally, all you shopaholics, you don't have to drive to the mall anymore. You can just walk your pretty little ass right across the street and binge shop until your husband's credit card maxes out. There's a ton of things that people could do to talk about the different areas and highlight it. You could interview and talk to the neighbors and get interviews with them, why they love the area, how long have they lived there, what are the best things about it, because you can learn things about different communities that there's no way you could ever know on paper. Like maybe that they have an annual 4th of July barbecue that everybody brings their grills out and they have a grill off, and Mrs. Jones down around the corner makes the best homemade cookies, and she shares them with everybody on Halloween, little inside secret. I mean, all those things that if you find those little nuggets of wisdom, you become smarter, you become a source of information, and you become a resource for buyers in the area to learn about idiosyncrasies of the neighborhood. So just think outside the box, I guess is what I would say.
All right, we've got a really great question here from Rick Downs, who's watching live with us. His question, our market has shifted from over 7,500 active listings to 2,500, which includes everything from MH, boat slips, and everything in between. We have over 3,300 agents in our MLS, which is a good option. And I want to talk about how many agents you have in your MLS thing in a second. Which is a good option. Agents are literally jumping over every FSBO or expired, which is causing grief to the homeowner. Should I just keep myself in front and wait for a new shift? Anytime you find yourself saying, should I wait? The answer is always no. Bad. No. Bad. No, you don't sit around and wait for a new shift. We have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I believe a shift is coming soon, but with the new tax rules that Trump passed, we might have kicked the can down the road for another few years, or who knows how, or maybe months. Who knows? But I wouldn't wait for anything. Just from conversations with Greg Harrelson, I will tell you that what he would say to that is that if you have not enough expireds and not enough FSBOs, or you're having trouble getting through the noise to reach FSBOs, go back to the old expireds that are between 3 and 5 years old. That's something Greg just said on a podcast last week. And I know for a fact, like Aaron Wittenstein is using those. That's his. As soon as he calls the new expireds, I think his next thing is old expireds, even before current FSBOs. And Aaron doesn't call FSBOs right away. He gives them a few weeks and then calls and says, hey, remember when we spoke a few weeks back? Like, no, because he didn't talk a few weeks ago. But it doesn't matter because they're not going to remember anyway. So those are a couple of ways around that. Is number one, go after old expireds. 3 to 5 years old, which you can get from companies like RedX, and I think Vulcan 7 provides that data as well. And then, if you're uncomfortable, or if you're just finding it difficult to break through the noise on current FSBOs, don't call current FSBOs. Call FSBOs that are 20 to 30 days old, if they're, however many there are in your market, because those are the ones that are starting to get the sense of, oh, this is not working for me. And that's what Aaron's point is that he doesn't want to talk to them in the optimistic phase. He wants to talk to them in the oh shit phase.
Ah, shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've always thought about older expireds, and this is something we used to do, and guess what? It worked so well, we quit doing it naturally, right? It's shocking to see that in me. But the thing is that old expireds are kind of like a fine bottle of wine. They just get better over time. And so you never know when that cork's ready, you're ready to pop that cork and, taste the fruits of your labor. And go out there and work with someone that actually is ready to do something. Another idea is our title companies are at this point. They can give you, sold dates. Like you go look into a neighborhood or an area or whatever else. You can get all the day, year, and month of the time that home sold. So if you know what your average, amount of time is that a person will stay in the house, well, you can go to Title Toolbox and you can learn about that. They'll give you all that information. They'll give you the turnover rates. They'll give you the number of homes. They'll give you all this stuff. You can go get, and this is, we've talked about the orphan program, because we've said it several times on the show that 86% of the people want to work with an agent again, but only 11% will, because of the fact that us agents suck at follow-up. So the orphan program is something very simple. Every day you can either handwrite or send out cards, Knuckles, Gail, or you can do something automated and say, hey, congratulations, happy anniversary. 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, today you bought this home. Have you thought about thinking about making a move? And people are going to be like, oh, shit, like it's really been X amount of years. Holy cow, how that time went by so quickly. The other thing is that their agent most likely is not speaking to them, and sure as shit aren't sending them happy anniversary cards. I mean, Bob Wolf last year in Q3, guys, he made $1.7 million in a 3-month time frame for over years and years and years doing that exact tactic and going, hey, Matt, Julia, 3 obese little wood-dunting, insulin-sucking little troll babies. It's been 7 years. Congratulations. Have you thought about selling? How's life? But he's so confused. He doesn't know how long people have been in their homes because he has so many clients. He just calls up and goes, hey, Matt, it's been another year.
That's good. Well, and that's a great example of something that would trip up most of us, which is, man, like, how do I get, like, and we would go and we'd feel like we have to get that information, right? Well, I got to have that in front of me. I got to know how many years they've been in the home. Whereas Bob Wolf picks up the phone and finds a script that just works.
Yeah, it's been another year. How's life?
Yep.
The kids still fat as hell? Yeah. They broke through the flooring again, huh? Whew. Well,
don't worry, I got a good concrete guy for you.
Only slab foundations for that family.
That's right. All right, I want to talk about something that Rick mentioned in his question, which is that we have 3,300 agents in our MLS, 2,500 listings. Sounds like Omaha to me. That's kind of the progression right now. And Greg, for anyone that's not in California, I don't think people have any concept of how many licensed agents there are in the state of California. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can walk into Walmart or any bar in California, and I'm just saying, like any place where the public is gathered, throw a rock in any direction, and you have a pretty good chance of hitting a realtor in the head. Yeah, or at least someone who has a license. And that,
someone had their license. All they do is take the test and re-up it. It's like almost every person. It's really pretty bad. I mean, we always
And how many of those would you say are productive agents, Greg?
Not that many. I mean, some of them feed a shoe habit. Some of them help out with the household income. Some of them feed a vacation, fund. Some of them just want to get out of the house because their husbands are driving them nuts. And just go do something.
A lot of them are investors.
But 90-10. Huh?
So a lot of them are investors. They got their license to be investors.
Wait. Got the license to be investors. All of those things. Yeah, all different opportunities there. But I mean, we always joke that if you can throw a rock into a crowd and you don't hit at least 2 agents, there's something wrong with that crowd. So.
Oh man, but yeah, I just want to point out that the competition, even if you want to call it that, like, first of all, your competition is never the number of licensed agents in any given area. There are more licensed agents in the area in Toronto and the surrounding areas than there are in the entire country of Australia. We found that out from Ray Wood. 45,000. If you think there's a lot of agents in your town, there are 45,000 licensed agents in the Toronto area. And I think Toronto is it's not that big. I mean, it's smaller than most American cities. It's the biggest city in Canada. So I think there's 30-some thousand in San Diego, and San Diego is only a city of like 6 to 7 million people if you count the entire metro area, like up and down the coast and stuff like that. So there's just but we all know, 90% of those are not productive agents. They're not your competition. The competition is yourself.
No. And you should, yes, I was just going to say they should never be looking up and be watching and seeing how many other people are out there. You should only be looking down and seeing what your production is and be concentrating on only that. You do not need to worry about what everyone else is doing. I mean, if you look at them, I can guarantee you they are not looking back at you. They're not watching you going, oh, my God, I wonder what Matt's doing. No, they're like, fuck Matt, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Well, the successful ones are. The 2,008, the 3,000 agents in his market that are not successful, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going, oh, I wonder what people are thinking. I wonder what that guy's doing. Calls. You better not be making calls. Those are my clients. That's my street. I bet he's making calls to my street. Anyway.
We should let everyone know on that street that's their street. You should probably look that
yeah. Yes, exactly. Please put a sign up to let us know. Paul Franklin says, I'm moving my laptop to my swing on the farmer's porch. I may just lose the shoes too. No, Franklin, not allowed. Absolutely not. And then he also asked, will we be discussing the merits of technical drummers? That has to do with the Facebook post that I put up today, that we got way off track and started talking about drummers on my Facebook page this morning. And no, sadly, as much as I would like to take the next 30 minutes to regale Greg with the merits and various intricacies of technical drummers, Greg would fall asleep and hit the mic. So, no.
Just.
All right, let's take another question.
God.
I know.
I mean, we just dived into that a little bit, and all of a sudden I was already tired. I'm like,
I know.
Music.
Exactly.
I'll just sit here and let you talk.
Well, I mean, if you talk about the merits of like a right-handed paradiddle versus a left-handed paradiddle, and just how much the technical challenge is of doing a left-hand. Yeah. Anyway, Greg just threw up in his mouth a little bit.
I'm like, I don't even know that. That's not even English.
That's right. If I just say this with the word 9-stroke roll, I mean, Greg's head, like the eyes just roll in the back of his head. Okay.
9-stroke roll. Now we're getting weird.
All right. So let's talk about builders. So Andy Kiefer or Kiefer, I'm not sure the last name, so I apologize, Andy. Has anyone else ever found it strange how builders are able to find land to build on? It's like magic, like they have their own land prospecting lists, and somehow they get landowners to roll over and sell it to them like magic. Any tips on prospecting for land and beating the builders to it and making them buy from us? Gregory, what say you?
Are we talking about big builders, or or boutique builders? I mean, because those are two totally different plays.
They are different. Well, let's talk about what's accessible to most people. So, is it realistic to go out and find large tracts of land and build relationships with lower level people within a giant builder, or is it more realistic to find the boutique builders and find one-offs?
So there are guys that, like, I have a buddy of mine that, like, all he does is he takes raw land and then takes it through the process of being permitted for whatever that land is zoned for, or changing the zoning, or whatever it is. It's a long, complicated political process. I mean, he does deals like $80 million, $150 million deals. Like, these are behemoth deals, and they take a year or two to close. A lot of the times what we've seen is that these big builders will have forecasted which way the development's going to go, and they'll sometimes have purchased the land decades in advance with the option that the farmer or whatever can still run their cattle, do whatever else, but at the time that they're going to call it, then they're going to call it, and they'll transform the land into what they need to do. They did that out here in my area. All those rolling hills in California. There's like where we used to go play in high school. We'll go fuck around in the hills, dude. I mean, parties and the whole thing. And then the landowners have had this back for the homeowners, home builders have had that area locked down for decades that they bought the land. So that's probably not your best move. Now, if you want to be a dirt broker, go for it. But if you want to do some more or less infill projects, then that's something that what you can do is you can go down to the city or the county, wherever they are, go to the planning department, ask to pull the records of all the tentative maps, raw land, or final maps for that haven't been built on for anything residential. So it depends on what your builders are looking for as well. Are they are they looking for single family? Are they looking for townhouse? Are they looking for high density condo, mixed use, commercial? What do these people want to build? Because all these different builders want to build a different style of product. There's a company in Danville, they will not touch attached product. I don't care how awesome location it is. It's way too litigious of a situation they've found, and so they stay away from it. They only do single family. Then I have another builder that won't touch single family because it doesn't pay off fast enough, and he can get more units out of the high density condos and townhouses. You got to ask the builders, hey, Matt, builder of Johnson Homes, Johnson & Johnson Homes, what kind of product are you looking for, Matt? And Matt, you're going to say, well, what are you looking for, Matt? Tell me.
I am looking for a square plot of 4 adjacent homes, so I can build a couple of townhomes on it. Okay, so
you want property, let's say in Walnut Creek, where you can build minimum 4, maximum 10 units, just your bandwidth, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go in and you talk to the city, county, or the city or county planners, have them pull up these records, and then reach out to the actual home owner, because they'll have the site address and then the home address. If you have to call or whatever else, write them, say, hey, look, I'm a real estate agent here in the area. I have clients looking for what you have at 123 Main Street. They are builders in the area. They do want to build this type of product. Would you be willing to sell it? Now, raw land is not going to be as valuable as a tentative map. An tentative map is not as valuable as a final map. A final map is basically, here's the approvals, go pull the permits, but you're ready to roll with this tentative map. Now, the map is what is the layout of the development that's going to go onto that property. So, like, here are the streets, egress and ingress. Here are where the properties are going to be. These are the types of properties are going to be. And then the builder will then go build the plans for that map. And if you have a final map that, someone didn't act on or move on, well, maybe they ran out of money. Maybe their lives changed. Maybe they had a better project come up that's going to make them more money, so they put this on the back burner. Sometimes they're willing to sell these different opportunities because it's a way to offload an asset that's either, because there's carrying costs involved with all this stuff. There's,
right.
Cost of getting the apartment. There's cost of getting the, plans to be put on the property. There's all kinds of different costs on this thing. So, did I go away?
Yeah, you cut out just for a second. I wasn't sure if it was me, but yeah. Okay.
My internet is so spotty.
Yeah, I know. It's a little weird today. Okay, but that makes sense. So they have an asset that they might want to get off of their books for some reason, either because of they can't follow through or because they might have just a better opportunity that came up and it put it on the back burner. You might be able to take that to another builder and say, like, hey, this is at X stage in the process. Would you like to take over from here in the process? And then you collect a finder's fee.
Well, no, you sell it to them. You sell them for whatever this is, or you collect a finder's fee on the back end, on the front end. But then you get the listing opportunity on every single one of those properties when they go take them to market.
Right.
And the thing is that the reason why builders like this so much is that so many times projects have been shopped around so much that if I came to you off of like LoopNet, I think it's LoopNet. I think that's which one it is. For commercial stuff. Hey, man, look at this big project. You can build all this stuff. You're probably going to turn to me like, yeah, I saw this a year and a half ago. It's not going to work for us. Right. But new product, like a drug dealer, have new product. Mm-hmm. Don't have the stank-ass, stepped on weed that, was carted up from Mexico. You better grow the icky, sticky goodness and bring me the good stuff, and I'll buy it.
All right. That is a horrible analogy, but sure, why not? Okay, so let's move on with this question. This is something that might come up more often for those of us in the audience. So Mike Morgan asks, this is a seller objection. So this is probably something that would come up when you're circle prospecting. But the objection is, my equity is going up every day right now. Why would I list now?
Because we don't know what tomorrow holds. There's no guarantees. I know what you are today. And, if that's a number that you want, then let's take action. And, maybe we can even up the price a little bit to see if we can squeeze a few more dollars out. It's not about, remember, you can't push a person out of the home. You can draw them out of the home, but you can't push. They'll lock their leg like a donkey and they're not going to go anywhere. So you have to figure out what that pain point is. Why are they even talking about this? I mean, why are they entertaining it? Is there something that's taking them away or drawing them out of that house that you just have to push on that pain a little bit? If it's the best thing for the seller, do not push on it if it's just the best thing for you, because that's fucked up. Don't be Bob from Remax. We've heard those stories, haven't we, about that man?
That's right.
That Bob. Man. Fucking Bob, dude. That guy. But yeah, that if in asking the question, is this a need or a want sell? What's most important for you? Is it that you stay in the home and you potentially gain some more equity? What happens if North Korea freaks out on us, or if you like Trump or hate Trump, whatever, he passes something that negatively impacts the market in a different way? Maybe it affects the stock market. People's stock portfolios go through the floor. All of a sudden, the availability for cash to buy something, are gone. Now all of a sudden the market's going to freeze. All of a sudden the equity you had right back down because no one's going to pay the prices anymore.
Right.
Figure out what's the most important thing to them. What do they really want? And then encourage
that would be my question is like if this comes up when you're circle prospecting, especially if it comes up early in the conversation, I don't even know that you know enough at that point to even ask that question. Like, is this a need sell or a want sell? They haven't even told you that they want to sell. So that objection would imply they're at least thinking, they've thought about it. But my question would be, like, hey, so, I mean, obviously you want to max out your equity, but what would you do with it? Like, I mean, if you, like, let's say you wait and your house value goes up another 10%, like what difference does that make? What does it change about your life? Like, if you got an honest answer, maybe they'd tell you, then we can move to Texas and we can build maybe get our dream home instead of just an okay home. Well, now you have something like work with if they open up to you. It depends on your rapport, though.
Exactly, but it also comes into tax implications. Here in California, you're tax exempt.
Got a real up and down when you said tax implications, man, I got the warm fuzzies and sat up and paid attention.
Woo! Taxes? Let's talk taxes. Now that's a conversation.
I wasn't really paying attention to you before, Greg, but when you said tax implications, that's when I knew I was going to start paying attention.
Well, you know that I am a certified CPA in no state ever. In the great USA.
That's right.
But here are the tax implications that you want to talk to them about, because this could really get them to get moving as well faster, because in California, each person is tax exempt up to $250,000 of equity that they can pull out of that house without having to pay Uncle Sam. So husband and wife, that's $500,000 of taxable, non-taxable money, right? So if they have $500,000, or let's say if they have $600,000, well, what does it actually mean if you have $620,000 or $650,000 in equity? Because the taxman is going to come after that $100,000 and $150,000 in equity. They're going to tax the entire sale on that amount of money. So where do you really gain from getting more equity? I mean, you'll get a few bucks out of it, yeah, sure.
Right.
But you're walking with $500K.
Okay.
I mean,
an interesting scenario. They could be on the bubble. Where it doesn't make sense to sell from, which is good, because number one, I don't think most people know that, and that is a great way to like instantly position yourself where you can come in and say that's why that's really important before you're making decisions to actually look at the house compared to what the market's actually doing right now and see how much equity you really have, because maybe you're on the bubble and you might have more or less than what the government's going to come after you in taxes, and it might not make a difference to add 10% more equity to your home, because it's just going to be lost in taxes anyway. At the very least, that gives you something to come back with that response and say that's why it's so important to just have somebody out to the home that can actually give you an opinion based on what it's worth right now and give you an idea of where you sit equity-wise.
Exactly, and that's for your own personal residence. Now, if you're talking to someone that has, and we're talking about maybe an investment property, maybe they live in San Diego, but they got a place up here in Northern Cal where they used to live. Now it's a rental, right? Well, talk to them about their depreciation schedules. Where are they on the depreciation schedules in writing things off on that property? Does it make more sense to just sell that asset, do a 1031 exchange, take the equity, roll it into a like style property, then start that depreciation schedule over again for your write-offs and your taxes, and maybe go from a single family to maybe a fourplex, a sixplex, a tenplex? What can you buy? And are you looking for cash on cash? Are you looking for equity and cash? I mean, are you looking for just a straight equity play down the road and you go negative a little bit on a monthly basis, but it's like that crown jewel? I mean, what do they want in their portfolio? People don't ever think about this. Why not go from a single family to a duplex, triplex, fourplex? Now, if you're in a fourplex, you have 4 people paying your mortgage, not just one. So if someone leaves, great. You'll get another renter in there. You still have 3 other people that are paying your mortgage. So you can do that every 1031 exchange. You can do every 2 years. So, in 2 years, do it again. In 2 years, do it again. In 2 years, do it again. You keep rolling that's how wealth is built. You're rolling into a much bigger asset class. Grant Cardone, that guy knows what he's doing. He's rolling equity all over the place. He's bringing investors in. He's in a whole new league when it comes to investing. But the majority of the time, he's probably not using his own money. Now, I don't know the guy personally, but it doesn't seem like the type of guy who's going to reach into his own piggy bank and be like, oh, come here, a couple $100,000 out of my own wallet. Hell no. He's going to be like, yo, Johnson, what's up, buddy? You got an investment for you.
He's a hustler. All right. Let's close out with this. This is a really interesting question that caught my eye. This is from Maxine Teal. Says, this is a serious question. How do you work hard as a real estate agent? I'm already making calls, doing open houses, farming, etc. I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. Greg, how do you respond to a question like that? What does it mean to work hard as an agent?
I guess it's a personal question. That would be something that would be determined by you. Um, for me, working hard is literally never stopping. Like if I'm walking somewhere, I'll be answering calls, returning messages, texting, voxering with someone, always filling that time. I consider that working hard, and people can't understand how you and I do everything that we do. It's because I delegate a shit ton, some to you, which you're not a big fan of. But my team does a lot. Right. Our producer Caitlin does a lot. There's different people that can do different things. Like Veronica Jones, what up, girl? See you out there in the audience. And she does our RSA work. Eileen's working with Veronica to get her to start calling through our database to set appointments for us, which then I'll go on. It's just having people do different things that they're really well versed at, and allowing you to do what you're really good at, and maybe working hard. Look at yourself and say, well, what lifestyle do I want? Where do I want to be in life? Like you talked about earlier in our program this morning about what are you willing to give up? So how hard are you willing to work? What does that mean to you? And if you're not willing to do X, then you're willing to give up Z. And I like working hard. If I'm not working hard, I'm bored,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what happens when you're single and have no kids. Which is the lifestyle.
No kids.
Well, yeah, and it's the lifestyle that we want because we'd rather be working. Like we look at other things as a distraction from the things that get us closer to our goals, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a judgment on anybody that has family and kids, because if you get the emotional satisfaction out of your family and kids, then you work that into your life and your goals adjust to fit within the context of having a wife and kids. And Hank Avink is the shining example of how to do that right. So if anybody has a family and kids and you don't want to stop chasing your goals and you want to put very focused time into the time that you do work so that you can put 100% focus into your family outside of work, like go take 36 to life and go get into Hank's world, because he's a great example. So I have two thoughts on the whole working hard thing. So number one is just like the nuts and bolts part of it, which is I think it was Greg Harrelson that said something to this effect, and he's not the first one that said it. But basically, you spend your mornings prospecting for appointments. You spend the next couple of hours following up, returning calls, doing paperwork, stuff like that. Just classic Mike Ferry kind of schedule. 8 to 11 is prospecting, 11 to 1 is follow-up, and then 1 to 5 should be appointments. And then if you don't have appointments, then you're going back to the drawing board and repeating the things you did in the morning that are supposed to generate you appointments. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be picking up the phone and cold calling necessarily, although if you have the talent for it, it's one of the best uses of your time. That time might be better spent connecting with people on LinkedIn and driving them to pre-scheduled phone calls. It might be doing Hank Avink's 50, 25, and 1 program on Facebook so that you're driving the demand for phone conversations through connecting with people on Facebook. So there's a lot of ways to like skin the cat, so to speak. But if you feel like you're not working hard, part of it is you might just not be putting in a full day's worth of work, and you might not know what else to do. There's always more things to do to generate appointments. You could do what Jeff Cohn did when he just jumped into real estate and he started calling all of his friends, family, his database, just offering to take them out for coffee. I mean, if you did that and you had, let's say, 1 to 2 appointments every afternoon, and the only agenda of those appointments was just to offer an introduction to them, and they in turn will usually ask what they can do for you, and you tell them how they can refer you business, like that will start to generate things, and it will make you feel like you're not just sitting around the office and doing nothing. So I wanted to address that first. I'll get into the mental side in a second, but I know, Greg, you wanted to jump in on the nuts and bolts stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm working with a couple of guys on is the new reality of with us with EXP, of working from home and all of that stuff. You find yourself kind of with temptations to be distracted, and I found that it's okay to allow yourself to do things that are fun but still network. Like, here's an example. Like, it's fun to play on Facebook, right? Well, if you're going to play on Facebook, sign up for send-out cards, sit there and send 3 send-out cards while you're fucking around on Facebook. I struggle with that idea of, like, this is actual work. Like, this is work. And once you wrap your head around it, that you can do fun things and that is work, Like I was talking to another gentleman, and he and I were discussing about the fact of like not working in an office every day. Sometimes like we all felt like, or a lot of us feel, and I had to deal with this, is that if I'm not in an office, then I'm not being productive. When in reality, that is completely BS, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. This thing called the iPhone or any kind of smartphone has given us the ability to be free outside the confines of a brick and mortar location, and you can go sit on the beach, make phone calls, return calls, play and get on the web, send out cards, do everything you want, but go do it in a location that you want to do it at. Like I had a crazy, I don't know, Matt, I don't know, it's just so weird. Like I've never wanted to go to BJ's, the BJ Brewery. There's one up in Concord, right near our listing. For like 2 days, I had this weird feeling, I gotta go. So I'm like, on Friday, when you and I are gonna do our call, I went up there, and I'm like, why am I here, dude? I walk in, the bartender, she and I started talking. I was wearing the shirt that says I've got curb appeal, which got the conversation going. And long story short, I gave her my card at the end of our conversation. Who knows if it's gonna turn into something? But how weird if that was actually the truth. I went and had a beer and a salad. Yes, a salad and a beer. I know, not as exciting as a burger and a beer, but whatever. And I gave her my card. I handed out my card. So who knows? That could have been working in prospecting. I think it's all mental up here in between your ears.
Well, and that's the part I want to talk about for a second before we shut the show down for today, because it reminded me, and yes, I'm about to quote some scripture here.
Good Lord!
I know.
Let he be with us, baby Jesus.
It's a great, and I'm going to paraphrase, or this is from a version that's very paraphrased. I don't like the version, but there's a scripture in the New Testament that says, if anyone knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him, it's sin. So in other words, if we know what we should do and we don't do it, to us, it's like we're sinning, like we're doing something wrong. And so what's happening is that we're like violating our own conscience.
No.
There's that going on. So what that does, and I think that might be more of what Maxine's talking about. There may be a nuts and bolts element where she just isn't putting in a full 8-hour workday, but let's say you are, or let's say that's not quite it. You're putting in a full workday, or you're looking for things to do and you're not sure what to do. There's also the mental element of it, which is if you know there's something you should be doing, or you feel like you should be doing and you're not doing it, like your own conscience is going to turn against you and going, you're not working hard enough. And that's a bigger problem than just the nuts and bolts stuff of whether you're actually following a schedule and being, quote, productive. Because if you're being productive, but you're still avoiding the things that you like mentally and emotionally you feel like you're supposed to be doing, you're still going to turn on yourself, and you're still going to be like mentally and emotionally accusing yourself of slacking off. Right. So to the outside world, you might look productive, but internally you're going, yeah, but I was supposed to do this and that. Like I do that to myself all the time. Some of it is just setting unreasonable goals or not setting goals correctly, right? Reaching too far, putting too many things on the to-do list. So there's an element of it there where type A people can get ourselves in trouble by putting too much on our plate and then accusing ourselves of not working hard enough where we don't get everything done. One of the things I love about guys like Frank is that they put very few things on the to-do list. And when they only focus on the most important things, and so when they get that one or two important things done for that day, they count it a win. Whereas someone like me, I want to put 20 things on my to-do list, and if I don't get all 20 done, I count that day as a loss. Very, like for type A people, it's counterintuitive, but it's a much better way to live. So, but the crux of it is if you're going to cut down on your to-do list, you have to do like the most important thing.
Yes.
Sometimes
you have to eat that frog.
The toughest thing. You have to eat the frog, yes. And that's the hard part, is that the guys that I know like Frank that only focus on the most important thing for that day, it's not checking their email. It's not moving a paper from one side of the desk to the other. It's the one big thing that makes the difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the one thing. If you do one thing a day, like my brother-in-law, very, very successful contractor, right? And he was running around trying to do like you and I, type A people, doing a ton of things. He's like, dude, I'm so freaking stressed out. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to focus on doing one thing a day. I'm like, what's that one thing? He's like, all I want to do is getting one bid out every day, and then I'm good. That's my one thing. As long as I get one bid out, I'm good. And I talked to him a couple of months after that, and I'm like, how's that one bid thing going? He's like, so much happier, man. Like, I'm more successful, more busy than I am right now than when I was trying to do everything. I'm like,
yeah.
Slowing down does not.
He picked one thing and picked the right thing. So one of the things to keep in mind, and Gary Keller talked about this in his book, The One Thing, like what's the one thing that I can do that makes everything else easier or unnecessary, I think is the one. So I like to think about it too in terms of like, what's the one thing that we do that as long as we do that, it pulls everything else along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, go ahead.
So with the one thing is like my one thing is I want to get 25,000 people on our EXP team in 5 years or less. So the podcasts, the one-on-one coachings, the radio show, the TV spots that are going to come in the next couple of months, next couple of years, all of these things are funneling down to one thing, and that's being an attraction, EXP and our team to people in so that people want to come be with us. So I can reach that goal. But I have multiple different avenues to get to that one thing, but I have that one thing. And I mean, it is defining where you're going with that. Like Richard Branson, I love that story that, when he, one of the Darren Hardy of Success Magazine was trying to get one of his clients. He doesn't do this, but the client who was responsible for like 25,000 subscriptions to his magazine. So he's going to make a couple of phone calls. And long story short is this guy was asking Richard to come speak at his event, and he asked 4 different times. I'll pay you $100,000. No. I'll pay you $250,000. No. I'll pay you $500,000 and a jet. No. I'll pay you $1 million in a private jet. No. Shit. What do you need? And Richard's people said there's only 4 things Richard's concentrated on right now, and if they don't fall in one of these 4 categories, it's a categorical no. And I'm like, shit, man, turned down $1 million for less than 60 minutes of time, plus a private jet on ground for no more than 60 minutes. That's dedication. That's knowing your one thing. That's knowing your why, and that's being, kill or die to reach that goal. So for her, does she know where she wants to be? 6 months, 1 month, a year, 5 years? Does she know where she wants to be? Because that could be contributing to her feeling of lack of work, or she just doesn't know which direction to go in because she doesn't know where she's headed.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
And you're aggressively texting while not listening to me, I see.
No, there was a question that I wanted to address. Yeah, well, and part of it goes back to what we talked about this morning in our internal training for our agents that are already on our team, and that was how to find your big why. And yeah, if you're not connecting with that, and you don't quite know where you're doing, like where you're going, and understanding where today's actions will get you closer. It could get tough and it can get unclear. And like I said, your conscience can kind of start to turn on you and accuse you of not working hard enough towards where you want to go. If you're not quite sure where you want to go, you don't really know what steps to take today to get there. The big thing about clarity, though, that I had to realize, and part of it was from watching guys like Frank work up close and in person, is that they don't have as much clarity as I thought I needed. They only usually have like 45 to 90 days of clarity. They don't have a year's worth of clarity. Yeah, they know where they want to be a year from now, but they don't know the steps. They don't know a year's worth of steps to take to get to where they want to be a year from now. They know where they want to be a year from now. They know what they're doing right now and for the next maybe 45 to 90 days that they believe is going to get them to that goal that, at the end of the year. But there's experiments in there that need to be run. There's feedback that needs to get. There's adjustments they have to make. So they're always adjusting. And believe it or not, those people don't have a year's worth of steps laid out to get to where they want to be a year from now. They usually have 45 to 90 days. They just know what they know enough to keep moving forward and move forward fast. And there's those of us that feel like we need like a year's worth of clarity to move forward. We get stuck thinking we need that, and we actually don't. All you need to know is just enough to keep moving and moving fast today, and maybe know what to do next week and the week after, and just how it fits into the bigger picture of things. 45 to 90 days of clarity is all we really need.
It's kind of like driving down a dark country road at night. You only can see what your headlights will show you ahead of you. You don't see the whole road all the way to your destination. You just see what's right in front of you, and if the road takes a left, go left. If it takes right, go right. If it stays straight, stay straight. Things will move, they will shift, they will change. But as long as you know that and you're able to just keep focusing on what's right in front of you for your next step, you'll be totally fine. You'll be 100% fine, But like I said, a lot of people get all worked up on this, like, oh my God, it has to be perfect for the next year. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Just be perfect for now and the next 30 to 90 days. And then change. And then maybe that curve in the road is coming. So
Yeah.
turn with it.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And only making plans 45 days, 45 to 90 days in advance gives you the flexibility because it will change. The only question is, are you going to be thrown off by it, or are you going to be able to adjust? There's that great book, Rework, by the guys that built Basecamp and Highrise and all that software. And they made the same point. It's like, look, the best plan is the most flexible plan. Derek Sivers says the same thing. Yeah. You want to be happy in an ever-changing world, the best plan is the one with the most options built in. Not to say you don't commit, but just that you commit wholeheartedly to what you're doing in the short term, but keep the long term open, moving towards your dream. But you don't need a year's worth of clarity on exactly what next steps to take, because something could happen 3 or 6 months from now in the market, in the economy, in the legislation, and whatever that could throw all of your plans out of whack. And you're going to have to adjust to it anyway. So why not only make plans and just get okay with just having 45 to 90 days worth of clarity and just get comfortable with that? Like, that's a much more sustainable way to live.
Yeah, a lot less stress. You don't have to. I don't know how I'm going to. Matt, I have no idea, and you know this. We have no idea how we're going to get to 25,000 people in 5 years. No freaking clue. But I know what? I'm putting a problem into my brain, and it's going to spit out an answer. And I don't need to know how to get there. I just put it into the universe that's where I want to go, and that's where I am going to land. And
you've broken it down into reasonable numbers, right? So 25,000 sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But really, what it is 100 people in our that we have personally recruited every year for the next 5 years, and helping them, each of those 100 people that we recruit over 5 years. Yeah, put 50 underneath them by becoming influencers in their market and within the real estate community. Simple as that. Like, it's not easy, it's big numbers, but the math is simple, and the process of getting there is simple. It's just execution, right? And as long as nothing big changes, like, we're going to get there or close to that or something like that, because the structure is that, like, the structure makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Is everyone going to have the capability to put 50 people on their team over the next 5 years? Probably not, but a lot of those will.
Yeah, a lot of them will. And those who don't, maybe their life shifted. Maybe they decide to get out of real estate, or maybe they decided just they'd rather spend time with their kids versus hustling so hard. Great, they got some passive income. They make good money on their commissions. They slow down their production, but they're happy. So
yeah, exactly.
We got a bizzle bounce, buddy.
Right.
Speaking of EXP, I have a recruitment call here in about 35 seconds.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. We appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, rate us, give us a 5-star rating on the show on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you listen. Make sure to grab a time. Speaking of that, bookmcdaniel.com. You can grab a time to learn more about what we're doing over here at McDaniel Real Estate Systems and all the value that we provide, the coaching, the mentorship, and the way and the structure that we provide that coaching and mentorship. At the very least, you can always get onto our calendars for as long as we have time available. Greg and I each have certain time slots set aside each week where we can talk to you, whether it's at 15 minutes or a half hour, like whatever you guys need, depending on what you guys need, we have that time set aside. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening, watching, sharing the show. We love that you guys do it. We really, really appreciate it. Let's put them on the show.
Yes, absolutely, guys. Matt, we need a color for a bow, please. We need a bow, buddy.
I'm going to do let's do a nice forest green bow for my Starbucks.
For your addiction?
That's right.
All right, guys, there's a forest green bow for the show. If this is something for the show, a rhyme, there should be a rapper. If there's someone out there that should see this show, please come and share this with them. And we love you. We truly do. That's why we've been doing it for 3.5 years, guys, and we're not going to stop. Until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.